Once again, welcome to a new problem. This time we have a parachute. We have a parachute that's falling all the way down, and the um, the idea is that if if you fall on snow, then you're not gonna get any injuries. Okay, so the weight or the mass of the parachutist, the mass of the parachutist, M, is given as 75 kilograms. And they're falling downwards because the chutes, these are the chutes, they can't open up. And the area that's being impacted right here, the area of contact, A happens to be 0.30 meters squared. And then the ultimate strength of the body tissue for the parachutist, this ultimate strength, which we usually define as the force over the area, that's given us 5 times 10 to the 5 Newton per meter squared. That's almost like pressure when you think about pressure. And the other thing that's happening is that they're going to descend downwards towards the snow, and a distance of -1 meter. I mean, it's 1 meter, but since we're going, assuming this is 0, if you're going upwards, it's positive. If you're going downwards, it's negative. So this distance is -1.0 meters because we're going downwards. So the purpose of this problem, the other thing we do know is that the impact, just before the impact, the initial velocity of V initial is given as 55 meters per second. That's the initial velocity of the parachutist as they're going downward. So what we want to see is, are they gonna escape? So we want to see if they'll escape without injuries. That's our goal. That's our target. We have to use this as our template. That's what we're looking for: the ultimate strength of the body tissue, and compare the ultimate strength and the impact. Okay, so this is ultimate strength, and so it's kind of like saying, okay, on one side they have a certain ultimate strength going downwards the body, but then the snow also is opposing with its own ultimate strength. And if the parachutist has a greater ultimate strength than the snow, then they're not going to have any problems. They're not going to run into any injuries. So the first thing we want to do, we want to compute the acceleration of the parachutist. We do know that according to the equations of motion, V final equals to V initial squared minus 2a s, and we can always expand this formula to V initial squared minus 2a s minus s naught. So S naught is kind of our initial our change in our displacement. Remember, our displacement is in the negative direction, so this is going to be -1. So even if this is, if this is 0, this would be -1 at this point. And so V final squared, remember that squared, don't forget that, V final squared minus V initial squared equals to negative 2A S minus S naught. And then we can see that A has to be V final squared minus V initial squared all over. This is now negative, all over negative 2S minus S naught. Don't forget that the final velocity at impact, V final, is 0 meters per second. So we're going to go ahead and plug in the actual numbers needed to solve this problem. We're getting the acceleration because we'll need that to compute the force per unit area at some point, the ultimate strength of the snow opposing the parachutist. So A equals to V final equals to 0 meters per second squared minus V initial is 55 meters per second squared all over negative 2. Remember, S naught is 0 and S1 is negative 1, so this one will just be negative 1 meters, like that. I was going to say meters per second, but it's just meters. And this helps us compute the acceleration, which happens to be 1,513 meters per second squared. That's huge. That's the acceleration of the parachutist. Huge acceleration. And the next page, we calculate the force that the snow exerts on the parachutist, and this is by unit area on the parachutist by unit area. So we're going to say force force of snow on parachutist all over the area is given as a mass times the acceleration g over a. And so we're plugging in the numbers, 75 kilograms. The acceleration, as you can recall from the previous page, is 1,513 meters per second squared. So 1,000. Oh, I need to check that again. 513 meters per second squared. Meters per second squared plus 9.8 meters per second squared. That's the acceleration due to gravity. And then over the area, which is given as 0.30 meters squared. This one will give us a force per unit area of 3. So this is equal to 3.81 times 10 to the 5 Newton per meter squared. That's the area we get. And so we're going to compare that, like we said before, the parachutist is going down and the ultimate strength is 5 times 10 to the 5 Newton per meter squared. And then they're being opposed by a smaller force, which is 3.81 times 10 to the 5 Newton per meter squared. So it means that the average force is less than the ultimate strength of the body tissue. And the conclusion for that is that the parachutist will escape without injuries. So just like a quick recap, the goal of this problem was to compare the force being exerted by the parachutist against, and that's the ultimate strength of the tissue, against the force exerted back by the snow, the average force exerted by the snow. We had to get the acceleration of the parachutist using your typical equation of motion. And then moving on, we had to, once we found the average force from the snow, which is 3.81 times 10 to the 5, we compared that to the ultimate strength of the parachutist, and we found that they're not going to get any injuries. So I hope you enjoy the problem. Feel free to send any questions or comments, and have a wonderful day.